Hello, everybody. This is episode 35 of the Keep It Rolling podcast. I'm Kyle Perkins. I'm here with Joey Deal.
Hello, Kyle.
We got a special two-person episode, so I'm here with Christian Menendez and TJ Fatone.
Are you related to Joey?
No, Joey Fatone. He's not an MC. That's why I did it. Yeah. Are you related to the Menendez brothers?
Yes. Yes. Very distantly.
Yeah, very distantly. Awesome.
Real names?
TJ Foley.
Christian Mendoza.
Mendoza's a powerful name. I really like that last name.
Thank you.
You're Filipino?
Yes, I am.
And Mendoza's a Filipino name?
Yeah, it's kind of Spanish, but
Mendoza.
a lot of Filipinos have Spanish names.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just had a moment. We went to lunch all together, and a car broke down, and we're like, Kyle's a hero. He just likes to be in the hero.
I can't.
He can't walk away from a problem, so we jogged over to help them, and they spoke Spanish, so they didn't speak English at all. So I looked at Christian. I was like, Christian, can you help us? He goes, I'm Filipino. I thought that was funny.
So we had to hand-eye coordinate. We'll push you to a parking spot, and then the guy drove like 10 parking spots away.
Yeah, that was when we jogging.
I thought we were just pushing him to his house.
It was a 30-minute jog with this car.
And let me tell you, that car's never going to work again. That car was screwed up.
And TJ, you kind of have an interesting look about yourself where I wouldn't know what your ethnicity is. What would you like? You know what I'm saying, Kyle? Like,
yeah,
you got an interesting style. You're like got an Asian look.
Yeah.
Right? Because your mom's Taiwanese.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're Thai. And
your
half Thai.
And your dad's just
Taiwanese.
like.
Okay.
Your dad's just like.
Yeah. I'm
old school white trash, right? I love Darren.
Mostly like Irish.
Irish, yeah. I was saying he's Irish. Yeah, because you definitely got a vibe about you. It's different.
Yeah.
And then one time I asked TJ this like a long time ago. I was like, like, what's your background? And he was like, I'm sweet. Was it Swedish?
Oh
no, what country? What country did you go to?
Yeah, Sweden.
Sweden, yeah.
Okay.
His mom lived in Sweden, so I was like, you're not Swedish. You don't look Swedish.
Your mom lived in Sweden. Where'd your mom grow up?
Taiwan.
Taiwan. Okay.
So she was born in Taiwan but lived in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when did she move to America?
I think she was like 18, 16.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
he's it's like, man, he's a Swede.
He's a Swede.
He just doesn't have the Swedish features.
Yeah. No, he's much more tough than the Swedish.
Hey, I'm Swedish. Easy there, Tug.
Hey,
I got a quarter Swede in me.
No, you got a quarter.
Maybe less than, I don't know, but maybe I'm wrong too.
Now we're getting too ethnic.
I'm more of a mutt. But yeah, so we're doing a joint episode. We've done this a few times before.
Yep.
Do you remember one of our first?
Yeah, we had Louie and Mario. The band was the first one, I think.
I guess that counts as a band, but we did a couples.
Yes, we did Kirsten and Frank.
Yeah. So this is our second couples. What's it like, being in a joint partnership?
You had to find the right word there. Yeah.
We're partners whenever I train anyway.
It's true. You guys are partners. It's like perfect that you guys are on the show together because they are, and Kyle, you're the biggest person by far here in this group.
Huge.
Yeah, because TJ is, how old are you, TJ?
15.
15 years old. Been training since he was about 6 or 7. So he's been with us since the beginning too. Yep. He's been training nonstop, and he's like a full-time, dedicated student. Loves jiujitsu. Super talented.
Homeschooled now. Stays all day.
Just trains all day. He's hanging out with us right now. But he's only 15, and you're about 115 pounds now. We've put muscle on you. He went from like 90 pounds to like 115 over the last year.
Got some abs on him. Got some pecs.
He's popping. We'll put a video in. He's looking strong.
Doing some Hulk Hogan
And then
flexing.
me and Christian, we're full-grown men. How old are you, Christian?
I'm 26.
26.
Yeah.
So you're still, I guess 25 is kind of like when you stop growing.
Yeah. Yeah, about then. Yeah.
I think some guys stop growing. I didn't grow since 7th grade, so.
Yeah, I don't think I grew much. I mean, honestly, I got a lot of my height. I was like probably 5'9", 5'10" in like 8th grade.
You're still 5'9".
And then I'm like, I only got to like 5'11". I'm not much. Yeah, I didn't grow much after that.
6 foot tall.
I'll tell no one I'm 6 foot. I actually tell everyone I'm shorter than I am because I hate people who say they're 6 foot when they aren't.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm
you're the opposite.
I'm 5'10". I'm taller than you. There's no way you're 6 foot.
So me and Christian are just like, we're short dudes. It's a tough life for us.
Yeah, I stopped growing when I was like 16.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely was the same height.
Okay.
By 16, I was done. Yeah. So us small dudes, TJ is like a dream. You know what I mean? Like we get to train. We have a partner at that age.
He's a good training partner.
It's just the reality of being a small adult. We really end up having to train with the young kids more times than not. So you guys are like main training partners.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's awesome. So it's cool to have you guys come on the show together.
Yeah.
We originally were just going to talk to TJ about stuff and like get to know TJ a little bit more. the reality is TJ, you know, and I think all young, you know, teenagers are quiet.
Yes.
TJ is one of the most mature 15-year-olds I've ever met.
Yes.
Very quiet, very stoic would be the word.
But then when he's got stuff to say, he's got some interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's got some interesting ideas.
We're gonna prod it out of him.
Yep. We'll get it. We'll get him to get his philosophy on life. You know.
But Christian's here for a reason. He's working on a project with us, like a docu-series.
Yep.
And we're going to talk a bunch about that. That's going to be kind of, in my mind, what we can finish with and talk about what's coming up next week.
Yep.
But before we do it, let's jump into TJ's world.
TJ, how'd you start jiu-jitsu, my friend?
So I think I was 7 and my dad got me into it. So I kind of just did it and I liked it a lot.
That's what you were
Did
doing?
you start with jiu-jitsu or did you do striking and the
No,
MMA
no,
stuff?
It was just jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And you trained with your brother, right? Your Orion?
Yeah. So, what was happening was, because I went to a school like kind of far away.
Okay.
So, whenever I went on the bus, it was always like a 40-minute bus ride. I hated it. So I would always get picked up and we'd just go straight to jiu-jitsu.
You would go right to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Oh, so instead of getting picked up from home, from
Yeah.
school, and oh,
I remember that.
really cool.
Yeah. And I remember, if I think back to like my earliest TJ memories, is your dad paid me to come to your house and do
yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
Really?
I would do like striking boxing lessons with you and your brother, and then we'd do like some grappling on the carpet.
That's awesome.
So I remember that. I remember going to his house, going to the basement, and they had like so many cool toys and stuff. You guys had an awesome basement.
That's cool.
But that's like my first earliest memories, and TJ was a little guy. And Orion was always kind of a big kid.
Orion's
Which is funny, you know, as your brother, he's a heavy. If you roll with Orion,
Couple times, yeah.
I mean,
he's tough. He's big.
He's
yeah.
big.
I think it's just a classic, like when you have two dogs situation and one just steals all the food from the other one. I think Orion just took all the food from TJ.
So, how many times did Orion steal your food?
Oh,
He knows.
He's a big eater,
you
right?
you just eat a lot more.
See,
than me.
I called it.
Yeah, look at him. He's just that dog that
Yep.
he runs up to the bowl.
You got scraps?
TJ's just sitting in the back.
All right, I'm
hungry.
good.
Yeah, so you guys started training. I remember your dad. He would be interesting to have on the podcast too, because he's trained before.
Really?
Only
Oh yeah,
couple
he
times.
trained. He would be on and off all the time. He
Yeah.
trained in Crystal Lake and he had a shoulder injury that took him out.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
I can't
think
say
it was before,
I remember Darren
before
training.
COVID.
Yeah.
He was training, and I think he had someone hip tossed him. It wasn't my
Oh,
class.
really? Okay.
And someone hip tossed him like right away,
Jeez.
and like he like fell on his shoulder. Am I right? You remember that?
I'm not sure.
He had some injury.
I think it was from hockey or something.
Oh yeah.
No, classic hockey. Right, hip toss in hockey.
Hip toss
He's
in
gonna fight
hockey.
the ice.
injury. But your dad is. I remember just talking to him a lot. You know, when he wanted me to teach private lessons, but he loved boxing and he did a lot of traditional martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure there's that influence of, you know, anyone who's like a parent who has a kid who wants their kid to kind of like take the next level of what they like to do.
Dude, it's
Like
a little more serious.
Yeah, like he did a lot of awesome traditional martial arts, and you know, I'm sure he felt like obligated to make sure his kids train well.
did something smart. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Very cool. I mean, awesome. Shout out to your dad, man, for putting you into
Yeah.
something that has become a big part of your life. You know, that's really cool.
At the end of the day, it's almost always that storyline. It's very rare. I don't know. Maybe you.
That's what I was
you're
saying to you.
17, but you.
Yeah.
And myself, but
yeah,
like
it was a big thing for me. It was
so
very
I guess
cool.
those are the questions we should ask TJ. Did you at that age? I mean, it's so young, but do you remember thinking like this is something cool I want to do,
Yeah,
like jujitsu or anything?
yeah, I definitely thought I'd
Stick with it.
I wanted to stick with it.
Yeah.
But there were some times where like eventually like after like a year or so of training, I just didn't want to do it anymore.
What do you think that
Interesting.
was? Can you identify it at such a young age? I don't know. It's tough, I'm sure, but
I think
like boredom.
I don't think I didn't like the environment really.
Really?
I think that was it. Like
Okay.
So we're talking about a different school at the time. This was back in Crystal Lake.
Yeah, I mean, so tell me your assessment of this. This was always a thought I had about it was here now, and I really think Adrian is a big part of it. Your brother really likes training. He really I think. I don't know.
He
likes it more.
It's his best friend.
Yes. Okay. So he likes it more.
But because they like kind of pick on each other. And
But
they're, like,
I always thought that
Orion
at the last
and
I really
Adrian.
always felt like Orion didn't enjoy training that much, and I felt like maybe that was like something you just kind of felt like that too a little bit. And then for some reason when you came over here, I felt like you just trained like a banshee and fell in love with it. And maybe it's the environment that you're saying changed it for you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something you can highlight for us and illuminate that, because it's just tough. Sometimes I feel it some days with the kids classes.
Yep.
That there's certain kids that'll come in and they're almost like don't want to do anything because they're looking around for that other kid that they are friends with now because of.
So you're saying maybe Orion just didn't have a friend. You know, Orion was the older kid in class. So maybe he just didn't have a friend really.
he was kind of always in that
I think he enjoyed it when he was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
more than you. You're
a
saying
lot of the times, like I wouldn't want to go, but he would just go.
You would force
Interesting.
it. That's good.
And now look at how
man.
it's switched. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
definitely switched, and we like Orion. Orion's
Oh,
awesome.
I love Orion. I mean,
and
so
he's super
honestly,
tough.
that's making me realize I got the opposite interpretation of it. Yeah, I wasn't in the kids class that much. I guess I just saw it from a different perspective. That's really interesting to hear.
But nowadays, you're the top dog.
You drag him into
TJ's the
class.
top dog.
Yeah.
And he's the one eating all the scraps now.
Leave
Right?
the,
Don't you feel? I
leave
feel
the
like
plate out for TJ.
TJ's definitely, he trains a full-time schedule, and you'll take your breaks when you need to. And I've always encouraged you to do so because I think we get into a weird, me and Kyle are just weird exceptions to the amount of training that we do. It's not normal for most people to train 3
Every
times
single
a day,
day. Yeah.
7 days a week. It's just part of our life. And when you're young, it's like you feel you can, but you start getting burnt out.
Yeah.
So I always encourage them to take a day off whenever you're feeling a little tired. That's important, and you got to learn how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're pretty good at that. You do a good job. But I'm just not. I'm gonna take the day off. Yeah. That's cool.
TJ's a stud. Can train all day, every day. But it's good to take a break.
And very independent too. He's out there lifting and trying to, for himself. We don't have to push him for that type of stuff.
Oh yeah,
And,
no, we got him. I remember when we first started lifting, I was telling him like, because you wanted to get bigger, so we got to make a schedule and you got to just stick to it. But I'm not going to do it with you all the time, so you got to be able to stick with it. And we had Jay to help, give you a plan. He sticks to it all the time. What are you doing right now for lifting?
Jay, he just gave me a new 8 different workouts, so
Nice.
I'm doing all those now.
Very cool.
It's mostly like compound lifts and then some mobility exercises, and it's been really good. It's getting strong.
Getting strong, ready to dominate.
So let's continue one more thing with TJ. We're talking about how you got into it. Obviously, you're very young. You said when you were younger, you didn't really connect to it as much. Maybe you didn't like the environment. What do you remember a moment when you really felt like you fell in love with jiu-jitsu?
I think it was like when you first opened the school and I was doing striking.
Oh yeah.
Like when I really got into striking, that's when I really liked it.
Okay.
And I'll say his striking's awesome. I don't know if you want.
I tell you all the time how impressed I am with his striking. Super
TJ's
clean.
legit. Christian, you ever do striking, kickboxing, or anything like that?
Not yet, no.
Never done it?
I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to start eventually.
Yeah, man, come train. That'd be fun. It's it's different. Obviously, it's not jiu-jitsu, but it's martial arts in general. The way I look at it, it's like it's just another
You
half.
got to know how to throw a punch.
Yeah,
Right?
every human should.
Yeah.
But yeah, TJ's striking's solid. What about striking do you like? You like hitting pads, or you like what?
I just liked it all. I think this was when I was training with David, so it's like
Oh yeah, you were doing privates with Dave. I forgot about that.
Okay.
King
Okay.
David,
Yeah, I
young
remember
man who
David.
started with us.
is we would always partner up, and then eventually I just started going to all the jiu-jitsu classes, and I kind of just
Reinvigorated the practice for you. Do you remember? How about first competition?
yeah.
You remember? it?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was definitely very nerve-wracking.
Okay.
Was it in Barrington? Was that your first one?
Yeah, it was in Barrington. It was with David. Because
That's right.
I wasn't even going to compete, but then he messaged me about it.
Really? Oh
Talked you
my
into
God.
it?
I didn't know.
Really cool.
So David, unfortunately, doesn't train with us anymore. He was really serious about striking. And then we tried to push him into jiu-jitsu.
He did
and
not
just
like
never
it, yeah.
connected to it really great. And I think he wanted to like it more. But, I think it's at such an interesting age, like the teenage or the preteen to teenage.
Yeah.
Like people change so much of what they
You find out who you are. Yeah.
or like you develop.
You decide who you are, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think when he was younger, he thought MMA was going to be his thing. Like he just loved MMA, and then we did a private. We were working on some sparring stuff, and I think he fell out of that passion. I hope he finds it again, or he just finds what he loves to do. This lifestyle is not for everyone.
Yep.
It's like a weird lifestyle. But TJ, it connected to him. I remember feeling like, okay, now
He's in.
got the bug. Not literally. It's not a bug.
Jiu-jitsu bug will bite you.
So that first competition, I remember it now. That was your first one. You never did one as a little kid?
Nope.
So,
We were thinking about it a lot when I was younger, but we just never got into it.
Yeah.
I think like COVID happened and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, with TJ's competitions, there was one. I don't think it was that first one. Then we went back another time, and it was just you competing, and I went and coached you.
Oh yeah,
You remember that?
I think that was like third or fourth.
Third or fourth. So you started to compete more.
Yeah.
And we made a huge mental breakthrough in that tournament. And that's when I knew TJ's like I used the reference to his dad. I was telling his dad, because it's tough as a parent where you watch your kid maybe struggle mentally, like wanting to not compete, like, or getting upset, and all those things. Like, as a parent, I can only imagine how it would feel. It'd be tough. That's what coaches are supposed to be there for, is to not
let you get in your own way.
Yeah, let the parent over-parent the scenario and let the coach. And shout out to Darren and your mom, who did a great job of that, because it was tough for them. I could tell them they wanted to just comfort you and be like, it's okay, you don't have to do the next one, it's gonna be tough. And like TJ had a moment where he had a really tough match. He's like, I can't do the next one, I'm done, I'm not gonna do it. And like I said, TJ, it's your choice, I'm not gonna make you do it. But I promise you'll be very upset if you don't go and do this next match. And still, he's like, I don't want to do it. And then, you just kind of I just was, hanging with him, talking to him. It's like, I know how talented you are. You can do a really good job. And then he's like, fine, I'll do it. And then he wins the match, and we had a great performance. And it was like that reference I used to your dad was like a glass ceiling that he made for himself.
Just ran right through it.
Yeah, every athlete has that in their head of like, this is how much effort I have to give, which is never the case. There's always, you can break through that. Once you break through that, now there's another glass ceiling you'll find, and it's endless. There is no end to the potential that you have as an athlete.
Well, it's really interesting to hear you say that about just like the conversation you had with him. But you're very good at as a coach, like recognizing what each person needs at a certain time. Yeah. So you and me always talk about that first tournament that you coached me. Like I was in one of those big states, but your conversations to me then were more just like instead of like trying to boost me up, were more just like dismissal of that being like even an idea. Like I'd be like, man, I'm so tired, and you'd be like, yeah, cool. So into your next match, what you're gonna do?
I wanted
is,
to distract
like,
you.
Yeah, you just completely like didn't bring, and that was and so you just knew like what that's a really
you
good
use different tactics with every kid, and you can feel it. For some kids, like you don't want to make them more nervous by building it up. You want to make it sound like a not a big deal. This is cool, no big deal. But then some kids need that this is it. Dude, I think this is the moment. You're ready for this.
I'm just guessing. But I would think like Cambio would be one of those. You want to tell them this is your whole life, man. They're gonna take that tattoo off your foot if you don't win.
What I took for Cambio, we should put him on the podcast.
He'll be great.
But with Cambio, who by the way just got a tattoo on his foot. Did anyone see this? You didn't see the tattoo on his foot? Have you ever seen the movie Toy Story?
Yes.
Do you know what's written on Woody's foot?
Andy.
Yeah, so is Cambio's foot now.
It says Andy.
He's got Andy tattooed on his foot, on the bottom of his foot. What a crazy, crazy
cool. And
kid.
his first
tattoo.
That's awesome.
I mean, respects to the commitment.
I mean, when he competes, it's gonna be awesome.
I'm gonna call him Woody from now on.
I mean, imagine him playing guard and like that foot it's gonna be great, dude.
Andy.
It's gonna be so distracting.
Oh man, Woody. Oh yeah, but with him, I took the tactic of I realized how nervous he was. He took it too serious. I just tried to make him have fun the last tournament, and point out how much fun you're having when you're doing well. Yeah, like, how much fun this is. And then like he did better as he was making jokes with the guy, and he started submitting everyone. Whereas before, I think he was too locked in, too nervous.
This is war.
And we'll talk about Christian's competed too, and I can read your vibe for your competitions and stuff. You have a very interesting, with Christian's last tournament. He competed, and it was a lot of people in your division.
A lot of matches, a lot of back-to-back matches, yeah.
And tough matches where it was a scrappy, like he had to survive a certain, and then get caught in something, have to escape. And but you have a really good sense of where your energy was. He was very sensitive to himself. He's like, man, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I feel like I'm tired.
At one point, I was a little bit nauseous.
You and Kyle have something in common.
Yeah,
that was the first thing I said. I was like, him and Kyle can connect now.
Well, like first time I ever trained here, I'm pretty sure I threw up. Against TJ.
Okay.
It was like one of the open rolling rounds, and after the round, I was just dead. I ran over to that trash can right over there, and that was before I signed up.
I remember that.
Sure.
And I think it was just like one of our. It was just rolling. It wasn't a comp class, right?
It was a noon technique class.
Yeah.
Okay. we just did a couple rounds afterwards, and I was like that much out of shape.
And I remember looking at TJ, give him a little nod, good job.
Good work, my friend.
You pushed the pace. I mean, TJ's tough. Isn't that crazy? I mean,
that first day, you told me he was 14. I was like, what? I don't believe you.
Yeah, wild, right?
Yeah.
But you did awesome, man. Your last tournament, we'll talk more about you. I want to get like a full breakdown of how you started jiu-jitsu, but since we're on that little topic of like motivating athletes, like he was very self-motivated to do the tournament and to push yourself and realistic about like, okay, this is gonna be a tough match. I'm gonna go out there and just gotta try my best. And you caught an awesome guillotine at one point. It was slick, man. It was really fun. But
yes, cool to see you compete. Yeah, just join the school and then get right into it, being part of the team.
Awesome,
and
yeah. So with TJ, any other thoughts with TJ? I want to make sure we kind of cover some good stuff with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
the competition's been great.
Been very fun watching you compete. I mean, you had one of the most epic matches we've ever seen at the ADCC.
Oh my God, you remember Kyle? Kyle was there. I don't know if you were coaching it. I think you were probably running back and forth.
I was coaching someone on like the other side of the mat, but I watched that. I remember seeing especially the OT section was wild because he kept trying to put you in arm bars. And it was right after, if we're gonna really establish why it was so badass, was the ceiling that you broke through was, if I remember correctly, you had got armbarred pretty bad by a kid. Yeah. So then you went to this next tournament and that kid was really throwing arm bars on you and you were fighting your way, like it was so obvious that you had broke through that ceiling of like, you're going to have to tap me, Yeah. So.
Do you remember that match?
Yeah. Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago ADCC Open. It was epic. Everyone was watching. It felt like the main event. Mm-hmm. It really did. Like, felt like everyone was watching it for the kids division. Yep. Yeah. Do you remember anything else about it? What do you think?
Nothing really.
I won. Yeah.
I remember knowing overtime when I was on reverse mount.
Yeah. The donkey mount.
I could have gotten the points there, but I just stepped over and tried going to side.
He didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, stay there. Uh-huh. What are you talking about? Why would I be here backwards?
I remember it being so very much just like someone about to score. Oh, and the other person about to score. And the other person about to score. Yeah.
And just another compliment for TJ as a young athlete and a young competitor. It's something that I think intuitively a lot of kids are just good at is like making major corrections.
Yes.
So if you just naturally, and some kids obviously do better than others with it, but like anytime he's had a struggle in a competition, the next competition, that's completely renovated and fixed naturally, even without too much guidance. He'll figure that out. Do you remember that? Just that last idea with it. I think it was probably one of your first or second tournaments. We faced some kid from Team Corral, Braulio. He was like the student or the son of the owner or whatever. So he's really good. I mean, his name is Braulio.
Yep.
He's going to be good.
I feel like I remember this. Yeah.
With a name like Braulio, you better be good at jiu-jitsu. And he swept TJ with this move from closed guard, basically a pendulum sweep, but with like an arm wrap from the closed guard.
Okay.
And TJ's like, how did he do that? He like right away was like, how did he do that? What did he do? And I was like, he grabbed your wrist like this and do that. And then TJ became like a master at that move. That's his move now. It's the TJ move, right?
Very cool.
So like now you've hit that on people in matches. And
TJ taught me how to do that.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So like I love shit like that. And that's something just to point out to other competitors, even if you're not a young kid, is you use competitions to learn stuff. That's the whole point.
What I kind of went through my brain, you're saying kids are better at doing that. It almost made me think like, because they're very good at recognizing this is a problem, I need to fix this, because they haven't got the false feedback of them doing the wrong thing and it going right. So like if you're older, you might have done the wrong thing and got away with it so many times that when someone catches you on it, your brain just goes like, but it's worked before. I can still works. So like, let's say like you've been doing a single leg with your head in the outside and it's been working over and over and over again.
Why is it working?
Because the other people.
You're talking about low competition? What are you saying?
You're competing and people are not very good that you're going against. You're getting away with doing the move wrong.
And kids don't do that?
And then so kids, the time they get caught, they haven't had a lot of reps of doing it wrong and it working for them because they're younger. So then now it's like.
Well, I say I've seen it in a wrestling context.
Yep.
You see this happen a lot at the younger ages where they get away with stuff that they probably shouldn't.
Yep.
So it does get that like bad reinforcement.
Yep.
And then it fails. And then just like an adult, they struggle to like break their habit.
Recognize it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So
yeah, I guess it doesn't matter how old you are, but like
the
negative reinforcement.
The amount of reps of negative reinforcement.
Negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Or like false positives.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah, it's just, that's something I almost noticed for myself is like habits that I've.
And that would be the argument of like why it's tough for really strong people to get really good quick at jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Or they get really good or to be great at jiu-jitsu is because they can get away with so much false positives, and then they go against someone really good and they struggle.
They never learn to be like feeble. You know,
Yeah,
when
they
you're
have
really
to.
when you're a really dominant person, you've never.
Which TJ, no offense, you are the definition of feeble, my friend. You got to train at 7 years old, like
Yep.
probably weighed what, like 60 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very light.
Very light little guy. I mean, and you're still light, right? Like you're a light weight for our, I'm like you. I was the same when I was in high school. I was maybe even a tiny bit heavier than him.
Okay.
Like, because you're a freshman year, like 14, 15. I was probably like 120,
Okay.
120 pounds. So I was probably like 5 pounds heavier than you.
I was 105.
Oh my God. Yeah, so you were way lighter than I was in high school. My freshman year in high school, I was probably like 118, 120.
Days I wrestled at 106.
I wrestled at 112 my freshman year, but I had
Okay.
to cut a little weight. And I
Okay.
wrestled at like 119, 125 for the rest of my years.
What is the smallest?
103. It was. I don't know what it is now.
It's 95 for freshmen.
95.
But
They,
there's
they
like
changed it.
there's like
Okay.
no one in that bracket, and 100. But you like if you're in those slots, you get like no matches.
Yeah. Yeah, the little peoples.
Interesting.
I know how it goes. I've been there. Yeah. So, any last thoughts, TJ, about competitions? We do have something coming up. Are you excited about it? We're going to know more. We're actually going to meet up with some of the kids tonight. Aiden is coming in from the barracks.
Oh yeah, about squads.
Yeah, squads. So we're going to get, there's a, do you remember the date for it? I know you're involved in it. Christian.
Yeah, it's October something. I think first or second week of October.
October 5th. it was.
October 5th, there is a squads. I think it's squads 3. I'm actually wearing a shirt.
Yep. Shout out squads.
We're the
team.
commentator. Oh, dude, are we going to commentate
That's all we do.
for the
That's
kids?
what we're born for.
I'm 100% going to be biased. I'm just going to be honest.
Man, that
Yeah.
RMMA team's doing so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for TJ
He's
without a
gonna,
doubt.
he's gonna be coaching our squad.
I'm gonna be coaching while I'm commentating. I don't give a shit.
TJ, we got commentary to do. Don't worry about coaching, all right?
I'm
You'll
like,
be
TJ,
okay. Yeah.
keep. Hold on. TJ. And I'll be back on the mic.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun. We'll figure it out. But TJ's planning on doing the squads. Anything else? Competition? You have any? What about goals, TJ? What's your goal with jiu-jitsu in general?
I think right now just getting bigger and competing a lot more.
Nice.
I want to try I actually want to try competing as much as possible.
I like that goal.
That's a
Almost
great goal.
Like every other week, every week.
Nice.
I want to get into it.
Following Kyle's footsteps.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, man.
When he first started, Kyle competed like every week.
Yep.
Just so you know, I didn't. I fought more. I didn't have as many
Yeah,
competitions.
Joey fought a human being every week. I just grappled a few of them. Yeah.
What about MMA? Do you think about MMA?
I have, but
Have
I
you?
think right now just focusing on getting up there in ADCC.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, but he's
Jiu-jitsu's a
also
good goal.
not falling behind with a striking
Oh,
base
no,
either.
yeah.
So it's something if you ever wanted to do, you won't end up like one of those guys who's just done jiu-jitsu and they're like, now I'm going to start hitting pads, and you
It's
watch
tough
him
for
hit,
people.
you watch him hit pads and it's just embarrassing,
Yeah, it's tough for people to just reboot it.
Yeah.
So it's good to learn it all the time. Always be training your striking, and it's a fun way for you to get some variety in your training and not feel stale. Cool. Good goals for TJ. We're here to help you with it, buddy. We're gonna get you as many tournaments as possible.
Squads champ.
Squads champ. We're gonna get after it. So Christian, can we get to you when it comes to jiu-jitsu? Maybe even how's your training been lately? Because you trained jiu-jitsu before you came over by us.
Yeah. I started over at Gracie Baja in Downers Grove.
Okay.
I started there maybe end of 2022.
Very
I
cool.
wasn't the most consistent when I first started, but that's where I first did under Carlos Lemos Jr.
Nice. How did you find jiu-jitsu? What was the catalyst towards trying to train?
I've always been a fight fan. I've always watched UFC. Growing up, when I was a kid, my dad would always buy pay-per-views. So, I would watch the fights with GSP and BJ Penn. So I was always a fan of
Who's
fighting.
your favorite?
GSP, probably.
man. It's hard not to.
I mean, he's got to be the greatest ever, statistically.
Yeah.
He's my goat,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Bones Jones, GSP. It's hard to pick.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. John's. Yeah.
But George has got the coolest story. I just like George.
Yeah. George has got a lot of those. Come back and get the title again. Went up a weight class.
George
beat everyone that
actually
beat
lost.
him. But beat the guys who beat him.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
still lost.
Yeah.
John's never lost.
Yeah. But John probably. Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
I guess Matt Hamill's the GOAT.
Matt Hamill is the GOAT, baby. Shout out Matt Hamill.
Matt Hamill's deaf, by the way. We like Matt Hamill.
He's gonna make. I was gonna go very inappropriate joke. Thank God I stopped myself.
TJ, we have a young guest.
Yep.
So you were into MMA and you're like, I want to go try jiu-jitsu. Did you wrestle?
No, I didn't wrestle. I mean, I was mostly a musician growing up. I played violin since I was
Oh,
5 years
shit.
old.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I played orchestra all throughout school.
Why didn't you bring the violin in here?
One of these days I
Can you
could.
crack?
Down.
Can you still like play?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I can. I haven't practiced in like a year. But
Can I ask you a question? Because
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with violin.
Well,
And when does it become a fiddle? Is a fiddle a violin?
So it's different styles.
All right, styles, but it is the same instrument.
Well,
yeah?
It's the same exact
yeah,
instrument.
you only fiddle on roofs. So if you're on a roof, you're fiddling.
Fiddle-
Yeah.
fiddle
Yeah,
around the roof?
that's one case. But fiddle is a different genre, basically.
Do you fiddle?
I have
you?
before. It's not that different. It's just literally the style. It's more of like
So it'd be
kind
like
of a country.
If you were
vibe.
playing a guitar, you could play country or rock.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
It's just
okay.
different genres.
Okay.
But
Do
it's the same instrument.
Do you like bluegrass music? Do you ever listen to like bluegrass?
A little bit, not too much, but I mean, my music taste is pretty diverse overall.
I'll tell you, me and Kyle went to a concert together. We had a date night. We went out to see Billy Strings.
And we had the greatest time.
It
ever.
was so much fun.
That
But
sounds
Billy,
fun.
do you know Billy Strings? Have you heard of him?
I'm a little bit familiar. Not too
Yeah,
much.
Billy Strings is a really good guitarist, but he's got like a string band, and there's one guy who's a fiddler. And I was watching him. I'm like, that's obviously a violin, right? But I'm like, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's a different thing. So I've always
same exact thing. No difference.
One of my,
I mean, they crush it on the fiddle.
yeah, one of my old students, Grace, you met before. She actually teaches violin. At her,
She teaches it?
She teaches violin at her
She's 15?
homeschooling group. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm gonna hook you up with her. I want to see you guys.
So do you still have a band or anything? Do you play for any like reason besides?
No, I pretty much put it away after I graduated high school. Pretty much. I mean, I made state orchestra my junior year, and that was pretty much the peak of my violin career. And then
Nice.
I got there, I saw how good everyone was, and I'm like, I'm not that good
There's
or
a
as
lot of pressure,
passionate
right?
as everyone is, because I saw how it was at the top level, and that was just state.
What
So,
is making it to state? What is the competition?
it's pretty hard. I mean, it's just a couple auditions. You make it to district
It's a chair
orchestra
thing.
first.
And do you play by yourself in front of other people?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a panel of judges. Everyone has like an individual audition that pretty much determines whether or not you get into the orchestra.
Do you all play the same song?
Yeah. Everyone has the same piece. And,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's wild.
So I'm thinking like the scene on the football field in Drumline.
Drumline's hardcore.
Oh, classic.
Pretty
favorite.
much.
Shout out Nick
Honest-
Cannon.
Yeah.
But I would like if you gave me a choice between like being a good drummer and being able to play the fiddle hardcore, like riffs and fucking like solos, and
Yeah.
I'm fiddling all day.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pass up that opportunity to
I
fiddle.
mean, a man used a fiddle to beat the devil. It's got to be the best.
Dude, how much of a Charlie Daniels fan are you? If you play the violin, do you think of that as like that is the one major moment to be a cool violinist?
I've played that song before.
Who has it,
back
right?
in high school.
If you're a hardcore violin, you must play Charlie Daniels.
I really always felt like a great stand-up comedy bit would be able to go there and be like, I mean, if we're really honest,
Playing
the
a fiddle and
the
playing
Devil's
it hot.
song was way better than Charlie Daniels. I mean, the Devil's song had way more riffs.
could
And
we
like
get-
there was a whole band in the back.
Would we get in trouble if we play that riff?
Yeah, you get in trouble.
Just like play the
You
end
can't
of
play
it?
any
I
of
get
it.
a
Yeah.
copyright.
I don't know, man. I just want to hear the. Yeah, dude.
It's a great solo.
Yeah.
How cool is-
legendary solo.
Yeah. Is it known as? Is it like established as one of the best, or is it just because of? Yeah.
I mean, it's so good, right?
Historically, yeah.
If you're listening to this, go pause it and go listen to Charlie Daniels Band.
Devil went down.
Devil
to
Went
Georgia.
Down to Georgia. If you don't know that song, you suck.
Yeah. Man, I used to live in.
TJ, do you know the song we're talking about?
No. Oh,
Say that again.
I don't think so.
Dang
ancient
it.
I used to live in Georgia, so that song was huge for me.
Yeah, it's like a classic song, TJ. It's like, hey, I'll play it a little bit more. It's- I mean, that's fiddle. You can hit that?
No, here's
Yeah.
the Devil's coming.
It's such a good song, guys. One of my favorites of all time. So
I'll give
when
you
I
this-
hear violin, that's
I'll
what I
give you
think
the
of.
story. I'll give you the story, TJ. So there's a man named Johnny, and he's playing the fiddle.
He's
And the-
playing it hot.
and the devil shows up, and he's like, "Yo, I
Yeah,
want."
this is essentially what the song
the
is.
devil's
Just
like,
like-
"I want your soul. I'll trade you your soul for this golden fiddle if you can play a song better than me." So the devil.
Was that how it goes?
The devil
Yeah.
whips out his fiddle, and he gets a whole band of demons, and he. And then Charlie Daniels looks at him, he shakes his head, and he goes, "Pff, devil sucks at playing the fiddle." And Johnny Daniels, find him out run, boys, run. Devil's in the house with the rising sun.
And the honest opinion, the Devil song was way cooler.
That's what I'm saying. He's got a whole band.
Like, darn. And you know what's funny? Because like I love. Do you guys listen to Tenacious D?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you know Jack Black.
That
of
is
course,
the concept of that
It
movie.
is the same movie. Yeah. So like they just took that song and made the
Made a
Pick of
movie about
Destiny. The Pick of Destiny ends with that same battle and the same like riffs for the songs.
And they do what we actually said. They lose.
And
the Devil's like, you guys suck.
Like, you guys are sick. You're coming with me. You guys suck. Oh man, sorry. That was
our riff.
I had to get that out there. So back to jiu-jitsu.
Back to Christian.
Oh yeah.
So you found is that just like local school by you, Gracie Baja there?
Yeah, actually, it's 30 minutes away from me. I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to a few trial classes around. I went to New Breed Training Center. I went to 10th Planet Lombard.
Oh, cool.
I went to a few places, but I just chose Gracie Baja. I don't know. I don't remember the reason, but that's just where I fell into. But yeah, I mean, I've always known about jiu-jitsu because I've been watching MMA growing up. My first exposure to it was probably in the Army. I enlisted in the Army National Guard when I was 17. Went to basic training 2016. That was the first time I ever had exposure to jiu-jitsu because they teach you
Combatives.
Yeah, Army Combatives, which is based off of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Like I think it was Henry Gracie that taught Army back then, the Combatives program.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Gracie fundamentals. So if you go to Gracie Academy, the Combatives program it's essentially the same exact program. It hasn't changed. It's the lessons. I think it's 16 classes. It's the same lessons that they did. It was actually Henner's dad who started that program. For the Army Combatives.
Yeah, and it's the same exact program for the Army, and that was the first time I was ever exposed to actual jiu-jitsu. It's a lot of basic techniques, cross collar chokes and basic sweeps. But they only touch on it very briefly. It's like 2 weeks that they do it in basic training. But I always wanted to do more of it.
So you knew you would try to get.
Yeah, of course.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, I want to train eventually. But I didn't start until like 2022, 2023, which is when I started at Gracie Baja. And then pretty much my first week, I knew it was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
I fell in love instantly, pretty
Very
much.
cool.
So how did you find our school? Was it through Matt?
Yeah, actually through squads. I wouldn't have found this place if it wasn't for squads.
And the squads one where we had Ian and Mario.
Yeah, with Mario,
and Louis, all those
Giuseppe.
guys.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Because we were doing media days promoting the event, basically. So we were going around to all the different gyms that were participating.
That's right. You guys came and rolled after filming people.
So we went to
Remember that.
Pico Pow. We went to 10th Planet
And
Chicago.
you're like, this is kind of close. Do you live close?
Yeah, I'm like 20. I live in Palatine, so I'm like 25 minutes away.
Nice.
So it's pretty close.
That's
But
awesome.
that was the first time I ever came here, and I'd been to a few other gyms. But I mean, culture-wise, I fell in love with this place pretty fast.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because it was a lot different than a lot of other places I've been to, and I was first time I ever like really felt at home
Good.
at a gym. So I mean,
We're so happy that you came by, and like I personally, it's obviously for very obvious reasons. If you look at me, I'm always so excited if a smaller person comes in. So I will gravitate and be like, dude, oh man, you're gonna love it here. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, you
and then
were another reason
Kyle
for
just
you.
kind of crosses his arms and looks at them
I don't
down.
know if this is for you. Yeah.
We don't need more of your kind
More
around
of
here.
these people.
you were another reason actually, because I was like watching you teach. I was like, okay, if he's the guy teaching everyone and he's my size, I could
gives you
probably learn
hope.
a thing or two. Exactly. Yeah,
it
gave
really
me a lot of
does.
hope.
Well, I'll tell you too, and that's the shout out my coach who I started with. Big reason why I obviously not why I started, because I loved MMA and I wanted to do jiu-jitsu no matter what. But then there was that feeling of like, oh, there's another guy who's under 6 feet, under 5'8".
Yeah.
Someone who like I know I'm not going to be that tall as a person. This is my size, and I want to know that I can do it. And you look for inspiration.
Yeah, it's very motivating.
It's very motivating as a little guy. Like anyone, I'll never know what it's like to be the big dude who, like, of course, you can do it. Like, you probably feel you could do anything.
Yeah.
If I was 6'4", there's nothing in the world besides being a jockey.
Yep.
It's the only thing that I'd be like, yeah, it's not for me. But if anything I wanted to do, I'd be like, I could do it.
I mean, still a big dude can still ride a horse. He just needs a big horse.
He just won't ever be that fast.
Yeah, he just won't be that fast. But
So I do think that's really cool. Thanks for saying that. Maybe any advice for someone who is looking for a school? So can you maybe expand on that? So like when you went and did trial classes, and so you said the environment, the culture, Is there anything else, like someone who's looking for a school?
I think really just being okay with like getting beat up and losing. Like that's probably the biggest barrier people have. I mean, a lot of people have egos, like if they're new to this or they haven't really seen too much of it. But as soon as I like changed my mindset of getting frustrated from getting beat into like I have something to learn from getting beat, it made it a lot easier. Like it made it a lot easier to come to class every day and get beat up and learn something. Because I noticed I was getting beat up a lot when I first started, but the more I went, every single week I would get beat up less and less and less. And when you make
you now, man, doing tournaments and winning,
and that little bit of progress, it made it very addicting to me. Especially like seeing myself get better at certain things that I wasn't able to do like a few weeks ago. So that was one thing that really kept me going when I was when I first started.
I like that.
Kind of hit that wall every once in a while. Matt.
Awesome. There he is.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear
Matt's
you say. So,
coming
like,
in.
you go through this. You go through
just
this.
so everyone knows. You just scream Matt. Matt's just walking.
He's gonna walk past
he
the
forgets
camera.
that this is a podcast.
I was gonna walk past the camera. They'll see you.
Say hi.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Former guest. Do you remember what number Matt was on? Just
I could look it up.
No way to know, but Matt's been on the show before, and he was just saying you're one of the reasons with squads that he came and started training with us.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that the other day. He didn't even know that he was the person that introduced me.
That's so cool.
So yeah, shout out to Matt.
Matt was on episode 27. So if you guys want to hear
episode
Matt's
27, Matt's got a great episode.
27. But hearing you say like just getting beat up less and less every day. So it's like you're coming in, you get beat up. Obviously it's not a number, but you get beat up like 10 times. 10 situations you felt like you got beat up. Then you're reducing it to like 8, and then like you finally have a day where you're like, I'm not getting beat up at all. Maybe I could try to beat this guy up a little bit, right? And that's when you start to have that transition.
Well,
of
how
you being
great
able
is
to,
that from a kid's perspective? Being TJ is like a 7-year-old. I mean, like it's not that like everyone's gonna beat you up because it's different. You're in kids class, but you're kids. So like then you're like, okay, you get to like 10, 11, 12. He starts coming to adult classes. Like when does that happen? Not everyone gets to be the person who like gets to roll with someone and be like, man, I actually know what I'm doing. It's like TJ got to experience that pretty young. That like he feels like what he's doing is productive and I'm learning. I'm getting good. Some kids get beat up
forever.
Forever is like it is hard for them to their ego to take the losses. But then eventually, all I can promise anyone who's struggling with jiu-jitsu, like sticking around with it, is that it will eventually start working.
That's what's going through my head. It's like I'm trying to think of like it would almost be impressive and kind of like awesome to find someone who's trained for like 20 years and just still is just like really bad.
Just can't.
Like, because it'd be impressive that they stuck around.
Yeah.
And that like.
But it just will never happen.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not 20 years even. Like,
can you imagine going to the basketball court every day and never putting the ball in the hoop?
Right? And still going back.
Yeah, I mean that'd be wild,
Well, you would have to assume there's other factors like why can't you get some help?
Yeah, why do something? Yeah,
you're just too stubborn to like take help.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean everyone here, just being honest, every person that trains with us are great students.
Yes.
So it makes everything a lot more enjoyable for us, right?
Well, that's because you being a great teacher attracts good students.
Yeah, you too, man.
People wouldn't want that.
Being a good teacher is like, it's like one of my responsibilities I always felt like is to try to teach people how to learn too. So like, if I'm teaching something, I want them to ask right questions or like try to provoke like thoughts that would make them better students.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back and forth, and then you have a good student, it makes you want to teach more. So
yeah.
They help, give and take. But going back to you about, so you went in the Army. From a work perspective, is photography, video, how did you get in? I know you actually came here to shoot your first movie, right?
Yeah, we shot one scene from my short film. Here a few months ago in May.
It was awesome.
It was
super
amazing,
cool.
yeah.
We had a whole crew. I mean, it was professional.
Did you watch him film?
Yeah. Oh, you weren't here at all, right?
I watched him set it all up, and then we left. Yeah.
I stayed a little bit. I hung out, then eventually I left. But like they had a whole thing.
I saw that. Yeah.
It was like professional.
Yeah. Is your movie out?
Not yet. It's still in post-production.
Okay.
We're still doing editing, and then it's got to go through like color grading, VFX.
So how'd you get into that? How'd you go from violin to
the Army
to making movies?
Well, I figured out in high school that filmmaking was something that I wanted to do. I mean, I didn't really know before that. I've always been a good writer. I've always excelled like in my literature classes and English. I've always been very good at writing, and I've always wanted to do creative stuff. At one point when I was a kid, I thought I wanted to do comic books. I realized I was terrible at drawing, but I knew I was good at telling stories. One time when I was 14 years old, I had this wild, like, really vivid dream that was almost like a movie. I woke up, I wrote the entire dream down in a notebook, and I was like, I could turn this into a movie.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
And that was kind of the moment that I decided that's what I wanted to do. But I never really got into it until a few years ago. I got a gig as a production assistant on a feature film. And that was really my first introduction into the film industry. I made a lot of connections on that film, and that made me realize it was possible. So using those connections, I recruited a few people to help me make a short film, and I put together a crew of like 15 people. I funded it mostly myself. I had some help from some friends and my family as well. And then that was my first short film that I ever made. I produced it, wrote it, directed it myself, and I just want to keep making more, honestly. I want to get more into feature films.
Really?
But it's my biggest
That's huge,
passion,
man.
honestly.
What are
yeah.
you going to do with your film? Are you doing like festivals you want to take it to?
How
or
do you
like,
use
that's
that? Like, what's the goal with it?
I believe that, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
anything.
so the plan is once it's completely done, we want to submit to some film festivals across the country, see where we get accepted, and then
And then the
screen
plan
there.
is if you go to a film festival and it gets accepted, you show it, and then hopefully it's showing it there. There will be producers there that will like it, and then they will
Yeah.
take your
Or
film and
just
put it into production.
networking.
Yeah.
networking,
Yeah.
like meeting
So then
producers.
the next project,
Yep.
someone knows you.
Yeah, that's really the whole goal, exposure. And winning awards also helps you get exposure as well. So I mean, I'll take what I can get for that. I mean, I'll submit it to wherever I can, and then wherever I get accepted, I'll go. So that's the goal
awesome,
there.
man. I mean, so just for my own story of my life, like that was all I told everyone, like in career days when you're like a kid, you'd go to school and be like, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
My answer was always, guess it.
Director? Movie star?
No, not a movie star.
So you want to be Sylvester Stallone?
I did want to be Sylvester Stallone, but I would either say when I was young, it was movie critic. I wanted to be a movie critic. I'd show up with like popcorn. I'd be
We're
like,
all movie critics.
I watch movies and I judge them. That was my first one, and then it became. And then like they were like, you can't really. Not many people could do that. I'm like, someone can. I could do it. But then it was to be a director. I wanted to be a movie director. And
That's
me
awesome.
and my best friend Scott Zabrowski was like my neighbor growing up. We would just make movies all the time. And we'd like write down the stories and like we'd film it on my mom's like big VHS thing on my like shoulder. We made a bunch of movies and then they basically just turned into Jackass movies.
I remember doing that. Yep.
I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't ever pursue it in any way. But like I get that desire because I love movies. I'm obsessed with movies
too.
and the making of movies.
Yeah.
So I always watch any DVD I got. The first thing I would do after I watched the movie, I would go and see if there was like a making like behind the scenes. Like, how did they make the stuff? I love that shit.
I would always watch behind the scenes
Yeah.
of movies. Growing up, I was always obsessed with every single movie.
And is it tough for you to watch a movie as someone who now is into directing, to watch a movie without taking yourself out of the story and thinking, how'd they do that?
A little bit. I mean, you kind of got to shift your mindset a little bit when watching and kind of make it more of an experience than critique it. I feel like if you're critiquing everything all the time, it's just
It's not
gonna
an
ruin
enjoyable
everything.
story.
Yeah.
But I do find myself even doing that sometimes and thinking like,
sometimes I can't help
like
it.
why'd they do that?
So I had that experience when I went and the new Dune that came out. I remember I was watching it, and as I was watching it, about like 10 minutes in, I found myself like making a list of things that I was like, "That's not how it was in the book." I'm gonna go read, and then I just was like, "This is making me not enjoy it."
You're thinking as the filmmakers, like why'd they choose that?
Yeah, I was like, "That's just, and like two for something that is they're gonna have to do more stuff in the future." I was like, "You're ruining the future storyline by doing this."
Well, that's interesting though. Thinking about like filmmaking, so you have obviously the screenwriters. So when you take an original idea from someone else, now you're gonna say, "This is just I think I can make it better." But the writing's already there.
Yes.
So it's always tough when it's like a book to movie.
Yeah.
So I'm
You know what
just-
That's what ruined Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
A lot of people got upset about that.
Once the original material was done, it became trash.
No, I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this, and I could be wrong
I
about
read
my
all the
noticing.
books. I love it.
I'm
obsessed.
just guessing off something I've noticed. I don't know if you noticed this. I'm guessing Christian is a huge Harry Potter fan.
Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Do you have what's on your forum?
Oh, this is a tattoo I got after the army. This
man.
is a Revolutionary War
Okay.
tattoo.
Yeah, that's-
I like
Join
it.
or
That's
die,
the
the colonies.
Did you
yeah.
think it was Slytherin?
It looked. I've never seen a good look at it.
He
And
thought
every
it was
time
You thought it was
when
Slytherin?
I would just see the side of it, I thought you had the. The Slytherin tattoo.
That's awesome.
I've taken the Harry Potter test. They told me I'm a Slytherin.
Okay.
so
Okay. Well, see, there you go.
We're gonna put the Slytherin on the other arm.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Very
no,
cool.
I'm a big time Star Wars fan. I've seen every movie. What do you think about the shows nowadays, like the new versions, the Disney stuff?
I don't count the Disney stuff.
Yeah? Okay.
Honestly, I
So
don't.
you're a hardcore fan then?
Yeah.
What did you think about the new 3 movies that came out?
I didn't
The
like
la-
'em.
the final-
I didn't like them at all. I mean,
Okay.
I thought there was hope after the first one,
Yeah.
but then they just completely ruined the story.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't like them at
Okay.
all.
Yeah, but it's I like honesty with people because too, like I'm sure a lot
I tried to like them.
Yeah, I tried.
I really
Yeah.
tried. I went to
couldn't.
movies. I went and watched them. I did the whole thing.
Well, I think we were.
Are you a
so-
Star Wars fan, TJ? What was that?
Not really.
Not
Yeah.
really.
I think people were so jacked up because the second set of 3 that came out, like episode 1, and then all those were
prequels.
so good.
There was a lot of hate when those came out. Just so you
those,
know.
those I know there
You-
were.
you-
Those
you
were
like-
so good.
I feel like the opinion's pretty divided
Yeah.
for the prequels. I
Yeah.
love them.
I
grew
enjoyed
up
them.
on
They were so fun. Yeah.
And I think you can find the fun in the new ones too. But I think it was the same story though. It was like the older generation who, the
Yeah.
originals, they fucking hated the first 3.
Yeah.
or the prequels.
Yeah, they-
So it was the same storyline. And then there's some young kids who love like Ray, and they love all these new characters.
So if you
It's just I think it's
Yeah,
we're
there's-
just grumpy old people as we get older.
so there's a whole plot line that they were supposed to like the movies are supposed to like episodically like mirror each other. So they're supposed to be like 3 sets of 3 movies that all go through the same exact sort of sequence of things happening. Like, the good guys get beat by the
Well,
bad
wouldn't you
guys.
just say that's general storytelling?
That's how you do. Yeah, but there was and
A hero's story.
and they were supposed to do this whole thing where Jar Jar Binks was supposed to mirror Yoda as the bad guy, and then after the
Yoda's the bad guy? What do you mean?
so Yoda was the good guy that in the original movie when Luke shows up on the planet, Yoda just seems like this crazy like old man who's not very powerful. And then by the end he finds out that he's like the most powerful Jedi in the universe. So that was supposed to be the plot, was Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be this goofy guy.
Who then
And
becomes
by the end
powerful?
you're supposed to find out that he's higher than Palpatine on the bad guy side. But
he's
what
a bad
happened
guy.
was after the first movie,
They liked him so much.
no, there was so much negative
they hated him.
that they changed the whole plot, and I was like, that. How great would it have been that everybody hated the character and then he turned into the bad guy?
Well,
that
he
would have
was-
been amazing.
He was just a Jamaican dude.
Yeah.
He's just a Jamaican space creature.
Well, the theme was also supposed to be how he fought.
he was basically
he
was
fought like a
just-
drunken master.
He was
That
just
supposed to be
he
the-
was just fucking Bob Marley with a
with ears as wings.
Cha-
I always
Cha
thought it was
motto.
interesting how they gave the Gungans that accent.
Yeah.
And they gave the Trade Federation like an Asian accent.
yeah.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
racist. Very racist.
Yeah, the sand people are sand people. I don't
Yes.
know.
He knew what he was doing. Yeah, he knew
They
what he was
definitely
doing.
knew. I feel.
Oh man. Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I watched a whole. It was like a 3-part documentary. Maybe it was 5 part. I don't remember. I don't remember where I saw it even. But it was the making of the original and like how they funded it. And it's like fascinating that there was so little help with that first movie. Like it was not like you would think. Like how big Star Wars. One of the biggest franchises of all time when it comes to movies.
And you're saying the amount of money that went in wasn't that much?
No, like there was like no support. Like they were like, it's not going to be big. It's not gonna
Really?
be. And like the struggle to make that movie was a lot more than people think. So it was a really good documentary. I think it was on Netflix, maybe. I don't know. But like as a filmmaker, I'm sure you'd love it. And it's just like, what a classic too. And they just legitimately didn't know what they were doing.
What a simplistic title.
Like
Star Wars.
Well, it's just a space opera thing. It's like they had a whole thing going for it. It is just classic storytelling of like ancient storytelling. It's not nothing new told. It's just through
the young man who doesn't know where he
do you
came
feel
from.
like that?
and-
Yeah, it's all prototypes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Do you feel that way like with stories? So like if you were to make your own movie, and that's one of your goals to make like a big feature movie, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you have that like it's not broke thing? So you have to like look at old stories and say like, how can we re-envision stuff, or do you want to try to be shocking and different?
Yeah, I mean, obviously every artist wants to be different, but I mean, you got to look at what's worked in the past and like kind of draw from that. Not copy exactly, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you try to make something too different, it'll disconnect people.
Yeah.
Because me personally, whenever I'm watching something, the moment I feel like that feeling of disconnect, like if something confuses me, it automatically ruins the movie.
Pulled
for
out of
me.
the story.
Yeah, like I don't even want to watch it anymore. It automatically becomes a bad movie to me. So I mean, when I'm writing something, that's kind of what I try to focus on. Like, I try not to confuse people. Like, if it's not going to make sense, if it's not going to fit in, then try
there's so
to
many
make it
interesting choices as a filmmaker. You can do, and like one little change in Star Wars, the originals, could have totally changed everything, and it not become the global like billion-dollar franchise it is.
You know, it's been a really common theme for me with movies lately, and I think it's because I've seen a few lately that by being open-minded, when the end of the movie, like you're watching it and I'm like, I don't know if I like this movie, and then the ending happens and I'm like, that was good.
Yeah.
I've had it happen a lot more like the opposite recently, where I'm like watching
you like it
and I'm like I don't know if I'm liking this, and I'm like, if they wrap this up nice, I'm gonna like it, and then the ending comes and I'm like, that was it, and it like makes me furious that I can't think of a particular.
But it makes
right
you
now.
remember it, so there's some positive.
That's happened a few times recently.
Like a bad ending is intentional too. Of
the Sopranos ending.
Yeah,
the
that's
black.
show.
Baby.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have watched House of the Dragon recently, but a lot of people were upset at the recent finale because it wasn't.
It wasn't what people were hoping for, that big moment.
It was a teaser essentially for the next season, and there was nothing like satisfying about the finale. So a lot of people were upset about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's challenging with television. And would you ever get into like television versus film?
Yeah, that's definitely another goal of mine. I want to do both TV and
like
movies.
TV, just a totally different vibe because there is that feeling of like continuation and like. There's almost never shows made with the end in mind. Sometimes I think they have that, but very rarely. Like a television show is about making money. It's like they want shows that are almost end, and then it's like, oh, it's not popular. We'll just end it. We'll come up with an ending. We'll figure it out. Like Lost is the best example of that. They had no fucking clue what they were trying to do, and they're like wrote themselves into holes, and they're like, we got to end this thing.
Dream.
It's all a dream. Yeah. They're all dead.
Yeah, you can definitely tell when a show is just being drawn out just for the sake of it,
for money or whatever.
Yeah, because then writing gets lazy. I don't know. I mean,
well, my last film question, because we are getting close on time. We got to end this podcast before the kids come. But my last movie question would be, what's your opinion on like Marvel? Do you think that Marvel comic books are good for movies or bad for movies in overall?
I don't think it's bad necessarily. I feel like it just ruins people's perception of what like film and cinema is supposed to be. I mean, it's valid, it's entertainment, but it's not like art necessarily. I don't know. Martin Scorsese, who's one of my favorite directors, he described them as an amusement park. Yeah. Because I mean, there's not a whole lot of depth to them. Like you're kind of just there for like the entertainment for a couple hours, and then you're not really left with anything. I think good art, good movies, they leave you with an impression, like they make you feel something, and then you think about it for weeks. Marvel movies, I feel like, I don't know, you're there for a couple of hours. It's like a roller coaster, and then you get off and you kind of forget about it. They're not too deep.
I mean, think about the last movie you and I. Oh, not the last one, but me and him we go to movies together a lot. Sounds like we do a lot of things together.
We called them gay.
The first gay couple we're talking about ourselves.
We're gonna be in Vegas sleeping in the same bed for about a week. So
it's normal. Yep. But we went and saw the Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Great film.
Yeah. So like that movie afterwards, I think about like the people who I know wouldn't like it, and they're usually people who would love a Marvel film. Yeah. And then I think about the people who would like it are the people like me and Kyle. Like we like just talking about weird shit. So like it made us, it sparked so many fun conversation, weird stuff because of like the depth of the storytelling versus just the cinematic journey of like explosions and CGI and all that.
So one of so you're saying like gives you a profound, one of the movies that recently made me like, this is definitely like 5, maybe 8 years ago, but I remember I was so built up about this movie coming out and went and saw it by myself right when it came out. Remember Ex Machina?
Great film.
Yeah, good movie.
I remember at the end of that movie,
because you like AI and stuff.
When that robot locked him in that room, I like almost stood up in the theater and went, "Oh shit! Oh shit!" I mean, that was profound to me. That was deep because then too,
good. Such a good movie.
Yeah, you'll get to.
Yeah, we got you too much. We'll have you back on for movies. That'd be fun. Yeah, because I love movies.
Oh, man. Yeah, we could go.
TJ, you have to answer. I've asked him this before, and I think his answer is like, I don't know.
I love Marvel movies.
Yeah. Well, do you like movies?
Yeah.
What do you watch?
Oh.
Do you have a favorite movie of all time since you were a kid? Can you think of like a movie you're like, I could go watch that again?
I'm not really sure.
He's not a big movie guy. I knew it.
No.
We got to get him into movies.
Yeah.
You're going to watch Back to the Future with me.
I already watched that.
You watched Back to the Future?
Yeah.
And you didn't say that was your favorite?
I think
To me, Back to the Future is just the perfect movie.
I watched.
If you're gonna look for like a perfect movie for like any age, it's just perfect.
I watched The Equalizer.
Oh,
that's good.
That's a good one.
Denzel, huh?
That's good.
I like that movie a lot.
Dang, did you watch the second one?
Yeah.
How
Did you
about
watch the third one?
How about the seventh?
Have you seen Taken? It's the same thing.
Taking 1, taking 2, taking 3.
I mean, how many people from this guy's family are going to get taken? You got to do some better security.
before they learn some
Yeah.
lessons?
Maybe we should put locks in the door instead of going and getting them back.
But to kind of close out some ideas here, and talking about filmmaking and stuff. So projects that you're working on recently. Obviously, we're working on a project together.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how this all came about? We're working on a docu-series about jiu-jitsu and about travel, about training and everything. I mean, this was your original idea.
Yeah, Matt and I came up with the idea together.
Awesome.
Basically, it was heavily inspired by Daisy Fresh and all the UFC filmmaking, like prior to their fights, Embedded and Countdown, all that kind of stuff. And since I came here, I was like, this would be a great story. I mean, your story about how you grew this gym organically, with barely any advertisement, and you built a great school and community out of it. I was like, that's a great story to tell. Especially since you guys travel a lot and you guys have a great team that comes out. I feel like a lot of people would, be interested in it. People that are into jiu-jitsu, people that aren't into it. And I feel like it would also draw in a lot of people who have never trained in their life and, kind of expose them to this world. So
yeah, I think it's like a really great project because you get to then, and I'm sure every filmmaker does this in some ways, but you get to include things you like in life.
Yes.
exactly.
get to
This
kinda
was
make-
my dream,
yeah.
honestly. Like, I love filmmaking. I love jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, this is a
Why
perfect
wouldn't you
way
try to blend it
combine
together?
both. Exactly.
Yeah, you got to come and like train today and then do some filming. And then, it's like,
yeah,
yeah.
you're living like that's the best way to marry things together that you're passionate about.
very cool.
So it's a really exciting project that we're working on. I think we're kind of figuring out the first big step in it, which is next weekend. So I think we can kind of finish the podcast talking about next weekend a little bit.
Yep, we'll all be going to Vegas and competing.
Vegas?
Havana.
Vegas.
So I'll be going to Vegas. We'll all be competing Thursday in an open.
The ADCC Open for the World Championships.
Yep.
It's a Thursday. Then Friday is going to be the Kids World Championships.
So we'll all go watch that. We'll hang out there. And then the next 2 days will be the World Championships. We'll all go and watch that. We'll be streaming CJI on our phones.
Yes,
It'll be a
definitely.
fun weekend of jiu-jitsu, fully
It's
action
gonna be a
packed.
crazy weekend, and so Christian and Matt both are coming now.
Yep,
to
we're
come
coming
help.
out. We're gonna
They're gonna be
document the whole
filming and
thing.
document the whole thing.
Yep.
We're gonna make a big journey of
And
it.
this will probably be like the idea of our first episode.
Yeah, first major episode.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the whole project of being able to document stuff, and I just think it's, again, it's like for people who like jujitsu, this is a really unique storytelling chance. Because it's still reality, but how you tell the story makes it entertainment versus it just being day-to-day life. It's not that exciting.
Yes.
But man, there's some cool stories to tell. Everyone's life is interesting and good. It's a good story. No matter who it is in the world, you can make it a good story.
If you film it right, you can make anything super interesting,
Honestly,
right?
anything,
yeah.
yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
So it's
And
gonna
there's
be
so
great.
many great characters on the team too. So I
Mostly
feel like,
Kyle. I think Kyle.
Yeah.
Hey,
Kyle
oh.
is you are a character.
Hey, as long as I don't end up puking and dying, I'll be able to
Put
keep
that
you
in
guys
there.
entertained.
Cut that. No, don't cut that. I want to see
Yeah,
that. I want it to be graphic.
Yeah.
So if there's some puke, you put that in there.
Put
all
Oh
right?
yeah, we're gonna get in
Put the
there.
camera at the bottom of the garbage can.
Kyle, can you do that scene again?
Yeah, don't worry, I'll be able to do it many times.
Hold on.
Yeah, me and Matt both applied for media passes, so we're gonna
Nice.
be in there
That's gonna be
recording.
great.
So-
Did you get media passes for the main event too?
For the open.
just the open.
I mean,
Yeah.
see if you can apply it.
I don't think it's that simple.
No,
Maybe.
I mean, that'd
Yeah,
be
it's a little.
awesome.
It's probably a little harder to do
Okay.
worlds. I mean,
Yeah.
it helps for the open because we're covering you guys.
Yeah.
Because when they ask it, it says which team are you covering.
Oh, okay,
So, yeah.
okay, yeah.
And you got 11 people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're bringing out a huge team, guys. So we'll post this podcast before we go to that. Maybe we'll even hit another podcast before then. But
Definitely.
yeah, super exciting times. And last thing I'll say too about it, it's like as you train jujitsu, you train with us. You're doing this documentary series. It's almost like a Quentin Tarantino situation as a filmmaker.
He's living
You got to
this.
be
Yeah.
in the story.
The video story, yeah.
Like you think about that, like a lot of filmmakers, they kind of intentionally keep themselves away from it, and then you have a guy like Quentin who was always in the movie.
Yes.
you never.
Well, but then he realized that he was a bad actor, and so like by the
he
time
kind of wrote himself out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, by the time no, that wasn't him. He was better. I'm thinking more. Who's North the Village?
The Village.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, so Shyamalan's in all his movies too, but by
Is
the,
he in 'em?
Yeah, but by The Village, he realized he was a
Was he in the Sixth Sense?
Yeah, he's in The Sixth Sense.
I think small cameos.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's small cameos, but by The
So
Village,
just like,
by The Village, he's literally just
a driver?
He's when the girl goes to get the medicine from the guy in the lab, it's him, but all you see is the guy opens up the fridge and you can see his face in the reflection because he realized I'm a terrible actor. I'm gonna have no scenes.
TJ, if you want some nightmares, go watch The Sixth Sense. Have you ever seen it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, really
You want
good.
some nightmares? You want some fear?
And that's
That's a scary movie. You ever see a scary movie before?
That's got
Only a
some
couple.
great like film
It's more,
things in
The
it.
Sixth
Yeah.
Sense, yeah.
Yeah, about all
That's a
like
great
the
film.
color things that they do in
It's
the
very-
movie. Like, yeah.
Which I love that stuff. I love that. Like I loved it's not highly rewatchable in the same way because of that.
Yep.
But then you want to watch it the second time.
Yes.
Then the third time you don't really, you know. But I don't know. That those types of twists and interesting turns. A good old M. Night twist.
Yes.
Get you going every time.
Shyamalanian twist.
Can you
He made
write
a new
us
one. There's a new Shyamalan
Is
movie.
it?
Yeah.
You should we should write a good horror film.
I'm down. No, I've been wanting to
Let's
do
get
a
weird
horror
with
film.
it. End of story.
There's a lot we could do. for
Yeah,
sure.
I'd love it. I mean, yeah. We'd get Phil involved. Phil loves horror
Wait.
movies.
Well, let's just combo everything we're
you
gonna
know
be
what
doing.
Phil's favorite movie? Have you met Phil? Phil's a blue belt of ours.
I can't believe you bring this
You
up.
know what it is?
Oh yeah.
Do you ever see Terrifier 2?
No, I have not.
Good.
Do you know what Terrifier is?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
So as a filmmaker, I think you should go back and look at this whole thing because it's
Yeah.
a phenomenon, right? Like the first one was such a bad movie that it was like popular.
They made this movie about the serial killer Art the Clown, and it's just like
It's a terrible
It's the
movie.
most like just graphic this guy killing people you could make.
But that's what made it popular, so they redid it again.
So it got this underground following, and they realized that's what people like. So like the second one they
trying to
made,
outgross
it's
itself.
just like it's just so ridiculous. Yeah, like
Like,
how,
I don't even feel comfortable
yeah,
TJ
you don't want to
watching
try.
it.
Yeah. Club your ears.
It's so gross.
I like bad movies sometimes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you were also gonna say.
Do you remember Evil Dead?
Evil Dead was good.
Everyone's seen Evil Dead. Evil Dead, the
Faintly
original.
familiar.
Yeah, so as a kid, that was like a famous thing. Do you remember?
Isn't Phil a big fan of Human Centipede too?
Of course.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Phil is in Human Centipede.
He's
Shout
one of the
out
guys
Prairie
in the
Dog
middle.
Phil. Yeah, he was on the credits. It says middle peed. PDP. Shout out Phil. So guys, any final thoughts? TJ, thanks for hanging out. I know you don't talk very much, so it was a joy to kind of get you in front of a mic.
Get to know your story a little
Any
bit.
final thoughts, TJ? Are you ready to get some hard work in tonight?
Yeah.
We got some kids coming for TJ to train with, so it's
Heck
gonna
yeah.
be going. I think some of the squad's kids are coming, so we're gonna get you some hard work.
You gonna hold the fort down while we're gone?
Yeah, you're in
All right,
charge
good.
while we leave. You're in charge. I'm out of here. If you had to run the school, could you handle it?
Oh, I think I need a little bit of formatting. But
I like his honesty.
Hey
though.
man, you're honest.
for the classes. But
I got you.
other-
Don't you
other
worry,
than
buddy. I'll give you a script. You follow it.
To
Just
say
kidding.
these words.
Human centipede.
So this is what we're gonna be doing today, guys. Everyone in the
Just
bear crawl
kidding. That's
position.
terrible. But thanks, TJ. You're the best, man. I appreciate you being such an awesome student. Christian, thanks for being on the show too, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think we need to talk more about movies. That was really.
We should do a
that
film
whole-
cast.
I
Yeah.
know, Jack.
I'm
Just
down.
keep going.
I'm so down.
That's
I
awesome.
have a lot I can talk about.
Cool.
I bet, dude. Well, looking forward to the docuseries coming
Yep.
out. What's it called?
Real deal jujitsu.
Real Deal Jiu-Jitsu. Not
That's
my
it.
last name.
Look it
Deal.
up,
This
baby.
is the real deal. I'm just one piece of it. You're a big piece of it. It's gonna
We're
be
all a
fun.
piece of
We
it.
got a lot of really cool stories. Or characters gonna be in the story, which is exciting. So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Awesome. Well, everybody, if you're excited to see it, we'll probably have our first episode out in
Couple weeks.
week, maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, so we'll get this episode loaded up before we leave for Vegas. That's next week, Wednesday. Yeah,
Anything else?
I think we're doing good. Yeah, we got a lot of tournaments coming up, a lot
We've
of
had a
competitions.
lot of stuff, guys. We're sorry. We did definitely take a long break from doing podcasts.
we
I
had a
think
lot of
we're just busy.
competitions we did. We did a couple of camps for adults and stuff. So we've had a lot of events going on.
So appreciate you guys being patient. I had a lot of messages from people saying, like, "When are you gonna do another show?" I was like,
Yep.
"We'll do it." eventually."
But keep if you want more of the podcast, keep bugging us. That'll motivate us to get them out there more.
Yeah,
So
we'll be more consistent.
yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. This has been episode 35 of the Keep It Rolling podcast, and we're gonna keep it rolling.
Bye, TJ.